60 seconds.
What's up, guys? It's Alex Rondago, and in this video I'd like to talk about some of the bigger buzzwords in competitive TF2 as a heavy, positioning and game sense, which, if you're just starting out playing heavy, you know that these are the things like people will say, oh, if you want to be a good heavy and competitive, you need to have good game sense, and you need to have good positioning, and it can take a while to figure out what those mean at first. Also in the background here I have a scrim we played on CP Steel. I'll point out a few things here and there during the video, but for the most part I'm just going to be doing a commentary on these two things. Now, this video is for the player who wants to get better, who wants to improve, not the one necessarily who was kind of forced into playing heavy by their team, but really the one who wants to work at it. I'm not going to sit here and tell you like, oh, it's here, you have to hold here, you got to do this and this. Talking about this is a little bit more abstract, and these are the building blocks that you want to use if you really want to understand and get better at competitive TF2 as a heavy. So positioning and game sense, again, the big buzzwords. It's hard to tackle them, but we'll try. Game sense and positioning. Actually, I'll start with positioning first. Let's talk about that. Positioning is extremely important for every class, but mainly for the heavy, because you're so damn slow. If you're in a bad position as a heavy, it's so easy for the enemy to swarm you, to focus you, and to take you down, even if you run the Fist of Steel like I do. And it's true that there are metas on certain maps for positioning, when you're holding, when you're pushing. There are certain places that it's just universally, it's accepted that it's better to go to certain places. And that's true. But at the same time, it's good to know why that certain places work, and it's also good because if you're dealing with a new map, like I think Ram Jam is new this season for Season 14, there's not really an established meta, and it's good to know why you do certain things as a heavy, so you can bring it to new maps like that and continue learning. So position, like I said, it's important because you're slow, but how do you know what is good positioning? So I'll use this right here as an example. This is, I'm peeking around the corner because I know I'm buffed, but I know there's a sniper there, so I'm staying out of his sight line. It's really important to know on any map where the sniper sight lines are, if the sniper's up, first of all, which they'll usually be, but also just where he is, so you can stay out of his sight line, because you have to assume that the other sniper is the best damn sniper in TF2. You really have to, because if you don't, you're just going to wander into his sight line. Oh, he'll miss me, he'll never get me, because I'm jumping around, and he might miss you. But guess what? If he doesn't, you're going to have a really bad day. So stay out of those sniper sight lines. And also the spies, too. The other pick class, it's harder to avoid, because spies can really go anywhere you can go, plus, you know, and then some. But try to avoid places where the spy can get an easy kill on you. If you're going to get stabbed by a spy, go out with dignity and make him go to you. So take Viaduct, for example. Don't hang out under the bridges or under any place where a spy can jump you or your medic. And check your back often. Make sure, again, make the spy come to you, make him work to get you, because that's going to make his job harder. Another thing for good positioning is, and this is actually one of the biggest ones, every single place that you go to, especially if you're holding, always ask yourself, can I get out if they start pushing? You should know where the combo is anyway, but I'll get to that when I talk about game sense. But if they start pushing, can you get out? You're going to notice, and I know it's because it's CP Steel, and this is just how that map works, but I strategically choose places where, if I know the enemy's coming, I didn't know that heavy was coming, but thankfully he didn't focus on me. Actually, I shouldn't say that he killed the medic, but we'll leave that as it was. I tend to hug corners, I tend to only peek out a little bit, because I know if there's danger around a corner, I want to be able to get out easily. I don't care if I have my Fist of Steel, I'm still slow, and I need to be able to get out. So if we're holding, and they start pushing, you need to make sure you're in a position where you can get out easily and quickly. So that means that's don't overextend. That's what that means. Another good one for bigger open maps is can a demo or soldier bomb us? That's more common on Koth maps. That doesn't tend to happen on CP like you see right here, or 5CP. But it's still a thing. It's not usually something that you would base where you hold or where you're standing on. It's easy enough for a heavy to deny a jumper, but it's still something to think about. If you can avoid it, it's still something to think about. And the last thing for positioning is a high and low ground. Let's just talk about this a little bit. High ground, of course, is just universally better, but the thing is, don't always go for it just because it's high ground, because you don't want to compromise any of those other points that I just made in favor of having high ground. For example, if you take high ground because it's high ground, but then you're in a sniper sight line, that is a trade-off you never want to make. So think about what's important, think about what your team is doing at the time, and adapt accordingly. This is all about it's about a balance. No position that you're going to have is going to be perfect. It's not going to account for every single one of those points that I just made. It'll account for some, but not all. So it's about a balance. It's about you want to know what it does account for. So if you're out of a sniper sight line, great. If a demo or soldier can't bomb you, then great. If you're in a position where you can get out when they start pushing, then great. But you might be on low ground. A spy might be behind you, and that's okay. As long as you know what the dangers are. So if you're in that position and you know that there might be a spy behind you, you're aware of that, and you know that you're on low ground, and that you have a disadvantage that way, that's all you need. That's really all you need, and that goes into game sense. It's actually, that's a fantastic segue. That's what game sense is. Game sense, I know it's a big buzzword. It's hard to really understand what that means. Same thing as positioning. Game sense is more abstract in the sense that game sense just means knowing what is going on around you at any given time. What's going on with your team, what's going on with the enemy team, and positioning is a part of that. They're positioning, you're positioning, what's going on. Just awareness, that's all it is. So I knew that the heavy was there. That's not game sense really, as much as it was just seeing his minigun, but my point still stands. And actually he's still down there, I didn't know that. I just caught that in the video, that's pretty cool. He was alive. That's weird. Anyway, I'll tell you, so positioning is really important for a heavy, and I explained why, but game sense is also, particularly for a heavy, it's extremely important, and that's because if you have good game sense as a heavy, you also make a fantastic main caller for your team, or just a caller in general. As a heavy, you have a really good capacity for working with information, with processing information. That's why you're a good main caller. Because your combat is very simple, and you're in a good position to be able to get information. So you can see the battle, because generally when you're pushing in, and you'll see this right now, I'm protecting the door, getting a few enemies right off the bat, but the soldier and the NG are going in ahead of me, along with the medic. The soldier and NG are ahead of me, or we're all going in at once. I'm not necessarily spearheading this this push. You can see the pyro was right there. My point being, generally in pushes, you are not the main target. You're behind some of your teammates who are spearheading your push. You're behind them, but you're putting out supporting fire, and you can see the whole battlefield. So you can see the whole fight, you can see what's going on, but at the same time, you are this tank with tons of health, and you can take whatever damage, side damage, is being tossed at you. So you are a great class to be able to handle this information and make calls out of it. So this is why game sense is important, because game sense is having good game sense is what enables the ability to call and make calls and process calls that your teammates make, which, by the way, a lot of the information that I'm saying is important. This is information that can only be obtained through calls made by your teammates. So make sure you're paying attention to that. And if your team doesn't have great comms, which is common for newer teams, and it's fine. It's you work on it and you make improvements. If you don't know how to make improvements to your calls, just remember the points I made. The most important things are those, the calls for positioning, and the things that you need to know. So, are you in a sniper sight line? Can a spy jump you or get behind you? Are there a soldier or a demo planning to bomb you, or are they doing it at that moment? Can you get out if they push? Are you on high or low ground where you're holding? That's the kind of thing, those are the kind of things that will make good calls great, especially in low-level play. But there are other calls that will make your decisions as a heavy more effective, but also that help out your team. Because if you notice, a lot of these examples that I'm giving, a lot of these things apply directly to your entire team. That's why you're an awesome team player. Other calls are things like, for game sense I mean, other calls are things like, where is their combo? Do they have an Uber advantage? Do we have an Uber advantage? What medigun are they running? What medigun are we running? Do we have any kind of like numbers advantage, Uber advantage? Where is their sniper? Where's their spy? Where's their scout? Is their scout behind us? Is their soldier behind us? Is anybody behind us? A lot of the stuff, again, you can't figure it out for yourself, but you are still a great class to be able to take that information through calls and make decisions for your team out of it, and inform your team about what's going on in the battlefield. One note I want to make about this is don't expect to get all this right away off the bat after watching this video, because I'm rambling a little bit, I know that, I'm sorry about that, but a lot of this becomes unconscious after a while. These are the kind of things that will settle in as you play competitive, and are not necessarily things that you would be thinking of during the game. So, for example, if you're thinking about where their spy is, as you play, you'll get used to the respawn cycle, and you'll be able to focus on their spy. When their spy goes down, your internal clock will get used to how long it takes between them going down and when they show up behind you again. Maybe it's... Sorry, let me get a drink of water here. Nice, fresh, generic water. Not gonna advertise, not big enough for that. One point, by the way, you just saw, that was a very good example of staying out of the sniper sight line. That sniper happened to be pretty good. I underestimated him. I wandered into a sight line, and I thought I could mow him down, or not mow him down, but at least distract him with the bullets while my teammates got him. But he got through it. I don't know how. I should have stayed out of the sight line and escaped when I could have. Bad thing on my part. Learn from my mistakes. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so when the spy goes down, that's a good example of just practicing, exercising your internal clock and getting used to timing and when things start to happen. That'll become internal, that'll become second nature after a while. You don't need to consciously think, where's their spy, where's their spy? But that's why you gotta keep practicing, is so that that can become internal. The one thing that is conscious, though, the one thing you don't want to say is, when you do know where the spy is, or when you do know that the spy might be behind you, you call spy time or something like that to share that information with your team. The spy gets called out, he gets picked, he doesn't kill anyone, that's a good push for your team, and that's a win for you. Which is always awesome. And that's actually a good way to practice game sense. I understand these are very abstract ideas in a sense. These are not, I'm not telling you, like, stand here, shoot here, defend this, do that. Some other guides do that, and it's good information for new heavies, but it's very simple stuff. This is higher level stuff that I'm talking about. And practicing this stuff is difficult when you're just talking about it like this, but this is a good way to practice your game sense, exercise your game sense. If you're on a team, or if you're just playing lobbies, pick a lobby, pick a scrim, pick a game, preferably before a match, and just consciously decide that you're going to focus on one of these things about game sense, one of the points of that, during the entire game, during the entire scrim, or match, or whatever it is. So maybe it's their spy. Maybe it's focusing on their spy and focusing on when he goes down and when he shows up behind you next. Or maybe it's focusing on their sniper, always being aware of where the sniper is and whether you can get picked or not. Maybe it's focusing on knowing where their combo is and calling that out during the game. Maybe it's focusing on listening to your spy when he calls the enemy medic's Uber percentage, and then focusing on whether they're about to push or whether you can counter it, that kind of stuff. Pick one of those and focus on it during a match or a game, a lobby, whatever it is, and you will exercise that for the entire game. And if you keep doing that, that's how you get better with your game sense. Again, this all becomes second nature after a while. You don't have to think about it, and you will just be a great heavy, inexplicably, and people will love you because there's not a whole lot of heavies out there who really understand their side of the game. So I'll use this really quick. I'll use this as an example. I'm holding right here, and they just popped Uber. We have Uber. Let me go down my points again and just say why this is a good spot to hold on steel. So we're defending A on steel, and we just deny their Uber completely. So let's go down the list. I'm holding right here. A's the meta, I know that. But am I in a sniper sight line? No. I could be if he shows up, but it's so easy for me to avoid that no, I'm not in a sniper sight line. Can a spy jump us? Can a spy get behind us? He can't jump us, but he can get behind us. He has to go up those stairs, though. So as long as I'm checking my back, I can get a spy easily at that location. Can a soldier demo bomb you? No, not easily at all. Can I get out if they push? This is the big one, and yes, I can. The spawn's right there, the cover's right there, I stay in cover. The demo spamming out, see? I can get out very easily. I'm on high or low ground, I'm on high ground. I deny that we were that way. So that spot on steel holding A is pretty much perfect. Rotating between there and also that ledge behind me is basically perfect. And now you know why. It's really great to think about this kind of things when you're picking a place to hold, when you're just thinking about positioning in general. That is what distinguishes good heavies from amazing heavies. And a lot of these are metas. Now that that was a spy. I think I turned my back and the spy was under me. He jumped up. People can get tricky. People can get very tricky. So always be wary of that kind of stuff. Never let your guard down. And one more time, it comes down to practice. This stuff is not going to happen overnight. You're not going to get better overnight. You will get better, I mean, but you're not going to get great overnight. It takes practice. And yeah, you'll make mistakes. You're going to screw up sometimes. That's okay. Especially if you're practicing calling, you're going to make bad calls. You're going to screw up your positioning. You're going to screw things up. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to think someone went down. It's okay. But as long as you stick to what you know, stick to these tips, and just keep practicing, you are going to be amazed at how much you improve in so little time. And amazed at how many people are going to want you as a heavy. Because oh, this is great, by the way. I love this. This was planned. We blocked the combo, we popped it a little later, and we wiped them both. That is what I like to call ultimate positioning, and very useful positioning, if I might add. And that's going to be it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did like it, I'm just starting out doing this, so if you don't normally comment on videos, I understand. Please comment if you like this, because I always welcome feedback. I'll read all the comments, and I'll definitely be making more of these videos in the future with some more topics for Heavy Highlander. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next video.